Welcome. Are you or your partner dealing with erectile dysfunction? Are you feeling desperate for solutions? Maybe you've tried pills, pumps, and injections and they're not working for you. Maybe you've tried therapy and that's really not addressing the issue either. But it feels like you're alone. Whether it's psychological or physical, there are so many reasons that people come to me and have erectile dysfunction. Sometimes people are coming and going, why isn't he touching me anymore? Why isn't he kissing me anymore? And for that partner who's dealing with the issue, they're saying, why should I bother? Why should I try? Why start something that I can't finish? You're both angry and frustrated. You feel like you're in it alone. You're trying to figure it out. I understand. You're not alone. You don't have to figure it out alone. You are not alone. In this video, I'm going to tell you why it's happening, and I'm going to tell you what to do about it. The first thing, the biggest thing that I explain to my clients. So please stay with me. Who am I? I'm Amy Keller, your intimacy coach. I became the help I was looking for in my relationship. I started by wanting to help men, women, and couples who were dealing with erectile dysfunction in their relationships because pills, pumps, and injections weren't helping the issue. You couldn't talk about it. Since then, I've helped thousands of men, mostly, and couples feel confident in love and life. So if this sounds good to you, if you're interested in this, please join me, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I have so much to share. And stay till the end, and I will tell you about the program that I've developed that helps my clients stop trying and start playing together, because intimacy takes practice. It's your favorite sport. It's with you for your whole life. And I'm your coach. So let's get to it, shall we? First, erectile dysfunction. Dysfunction means not normal. And quite frankly, there is no normal. Everybody is different. I like to call it erectile issues because I consider something to be an issue. People will come to me and say, is this an issue? Do I have an issue with porn? Do I have an issue with my erection, drinking, whatever it is? I consider something to be an issue if it's affecting the quality of your life and relationships. So if this is affecting the quality of your relationships and life, which I'd imagine that it is, then you're in the right place. And like I say, you're not alone. There are three categories that I see in my office. The first one would be physical. That would be if you have medical issues or if there's hormones or heart issues, diabetes. The next one I see is psychological, and that's anxiety, performance pressure. And the next one that I see is situational. And that would be sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. It's not working with my partner, but it's working when I'm watching something. That's situational, or it's working first thing in the morning. What I see in my office as the biggest problems is lack of skills, experience, lack of knowledge, playing, lack of practice, and ridiculous expectations. People expect everything to just work naturally. Hey, it's all supposed to work. It's natural. It's supposed to just work the way that it did when you were 13 or 15. It's supposed to magically happen, but then when it doesn't magically happen, you feel like you're broken. That's a lot of pressure to put on such an unpredictable tool that your entire relationship or love life is dependent on whether that equipment works or not. It's not. That's just too much. And when you're in a relationship, when you're dealing with this in your own life or in your relationship, you're dealing with shame. You're dealing with embarrassment. It's really scary. It's like, why am I in this relationship? And if I'm not in this relationship, who's going to love me? Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. We've got solutions. I wouldn't be bringing this up if I didn't have solutions. Stay with me. We're good. Okay? That's why I'm here. In my own relationship, my husband, he was so confident, so sexy. That's why I married him. I knew that he had health issues that were causing him erectile dysfunction before we even got into our relationship. But I married him anyways because I figured that it would get better and better. We'd find a routine. He'd get more comfortable. He'd learn some moves. But then I got into a relationship and I learned that you can't fix those things from inside your relationship because it feels like criticism. And the worst criticism of all, sexual criticism. And that's just hurtful. And it was causing him issues. He felt like he wasn't enough. He felt like he was inadequate. But seriously, he was enough. He stopped squeezing me. He stopped touching me. He stopped complimenting me. And seriously, that was the thing I loved the most. He was always squeezing me and touching me. He could have squeezed me for the rest of my life. I would have been happy. Okay, I would have wanted more, but that's why we're here. What I've created would have helped him. And actually, I know that that's true because he wrote the foreword to my book, and you can go find a video afterwards. I'll put the link in the description that goes to a video of me reading the foreword that he wrote, saying that this would have helped him. And since then, like I said, I dedicated my life to helping other couples. Certainly, we weren't the only couple dealing with health issues, erectile dysfunction. I dedicated my life to helping other people feel loved and connected by the person that they love. Not the equipment. You with me? Let me know if you're with me, if this makes sense. Leave a note in the comments. Okay? Now let's get to the solution. The first thing that I tell all of my clients, and the biggest things that I do, is that I've renamed sex sharing sensual pleasure. The reason is because when people use the word sex, they're thinking of penetration and the orgasm as the goal. That would be like thinking of football as the football game as the football and the end line, the goal line. But actually, when you have a coach and we're part of a team, the coach doesn't say go in there and win. No, the coach says make it a great game. And that's about you and your teammate playing the whole field, right? That's when it gets really good. And great games and great sportsmanship are not an accident. These things take practice. Am I making sense? So when we talk about taking it from sex to sharing sensual pleasure, sharing yourself is intimate. Sharing sensual pleasure, that's vulnerable. And that takes it from performance to discovery just by calling it that. People go, oh, ooh, now I want more. Now I want to know more. So let me tell you about some of my clients. The first client I'm going to tell you about, I call him number one husband. Great guy. Number one husband. They've been together for about 10 years. They're in their mid to late 30s. And he is using the pills, watching the porn. And to him, their intimacy, their sex life feels like a bit of a chore. It's a lot easier by himself. When he's going to be with her, he's got to take a pill. He's got to figure out, is it going to be good? Was I enough for her? Was I happy for her? Was I there? Was I present enough? Did she like it? How did I warm her up enough? Was foreplay good enough? And they had been to, for her, she has taken care of kids. She feels like there's zero intimacy and she's in it alone. Both of them feel like they're in it alone. Neither one of them is getting their needs met. And that for the 10 years that they've been together, they haven't really improved. They're still making love, doing intimacy and their relationship the same way they did in their 20s. And they're like, something's missing. So when we call it sharing sensual pleasure, his goal is to get his partner to go, as in that's so good. Now that sound, I call that a huddle sound. That's the name of my book, The Huddle. Because when you do it with intention, when you get your partner to make those huddle sounds, then you're sharing your sensual pleasures just by making those sounds together. And there's more to it, of course. That's why I exist, so stay with me. But that is the goal of it. So instead of trying to hit the mark, get his equipment working, turn her on, hit the goal, finish the goal, the new goal is to share sensual pleasure and get his partner to go, and to enjoy each other. Yeah, does that make sense? Remember, I have a saying, a lot of them, remember, everything starts with a huddle. That's that huddle sound. There's more to it, of course. Stay with me. That's the name of the book. And if that's the sound that we're wanting, then begin with that sound. Begin how you intend to go on, right? And you're in it for a team. So you're there together. You're going into it together, just like a football game. That they start with a huddle. They get in their team together. They have their starting positions. That's what you learn with your coach. Now, let me tell you about my next client. Okay. All right. We're going to call him Raj, and I'm calling him Awesome Single Dude. He was an amazing guy. He's a doctor. He's a doctor, and he hasn't dated for a really long time because he had to become a doctor. That's a lot of pressure in itself, which lets you know how much pressure he puts on himself in all parts of his life, the excellence and quality. And now he's starting to date. Now he's like, okay, now it's time for me. I got to get out there. And he's finding when he's with somebody, he's so overwhelmed that his equipment isn't working. And he's terrified, and he's calling me going, I swear, I don't feel like I can ever date. I'm going to have to be alone forever. I'm feeling suicidal. That's an awful feeling, really. The fact that he's just trying to date, that's a lack of experience, skills, and he's out of practice, honey. Don't. It's true. I understand your intimacy is your aliveness. And I hear from so many guys who are single and afraid that their equipment is not going to work, and that they're literally feeling hopeless, and especially because they're watching so much porn, and they're feeling like their brain is telling them, that's for a different video, their brain is telling them that that's what everybody's doing and that's what they're supposed to be able to do. But porn is not real life. Trust me, I have no shame, no judgment. I know lots of porn performers, and that's exactly it. They're performers. They're trained professionals. They're like circus. They're just amazing performers, okay? And in porn is not about pleasure. It's not about moods. It's not about kids. There's no chores. Nobody had to take the trash out. So it's a completely different beast. Being with somebody takes practice. Knowing a few basic moves helps you feel confident. The cure for hopelessness is having a plan. And like I told the doctor, that kind of pressure that causes adrenaline. And adrenaline, that's what happens when somebody has stage fright too, right? Adrenaline is a mood killer and a dick killer. So the cure for stage fright, for not being prepared to go into the game, is to be prepared, to know a few moves, and knowing how to share sensual pleasure, and starting with a huddle. Knowing how to slow yourself down instead of trying to hit the goal. Don't worry about it. I'm here with my team. I'm here with my player, and we're going to make it a great game. Am I making sense? I'd like to know if this is hitting home for you, if this is making sense to you. So leave me a note in the comments. And we're getting there. I'm going to tell you about my last client. I love this one. You're going to enjoy this one. It's you that we love. It's you that we want to connect with. So a client came to me, and I call him Robo Dick. It's one of my first stories in my book. You got to read my book. It's short, it's quick, and it's really entertaining. Robo Dick got himself a penis implant because he wanted to be hard and ready to go like he was in his teen years. And what happened for him was that when he got his penis implant, when he went home, his hot, sexy wife, who he'd had for years, left him. That's when she up and got a divorce. Why? Because she didn't want that same guy who was always trying to poke her, to finish her, to get her across the goal, who was all about his equipment. She wanted to make love with her husband, the same as she always wanted. And even Robo Dick, after that, he was still like, okay, next, because that's how he thought of himself. But he couldn't connect with anybody because it's not just the equipment that he wanted. He was back to see me, and he's like, okay, help. And it's a good thing that we call it sharing sensual pleasure, because that's a whole body sport. And when it came to RoboDick, he needed it to be a whole body sport, because when you get that penis implant, that's why I talk about pills, pumps, and injections and implants. When you get that penis implant, you can't feel anything. So he was completely numb. His favorite, the piece of his body, his equipment that had the most nerve endings, that was literally built for pleasure, and he chose to be numb. And that's not necessary. You don't want to be numb to your sex life. That's the best part of life. And I'll say this right now. It's my public service announcement, letting people know that even a flaccid dick, a flaccid penis, is more sensitive than a hard one. Slap it and you'll find out. Slap it when it's soft, slap it when it's hard, and you'll find out. And you can still have an orgasm. You can still ejaculate. You can still share sensual pleasure, all of you. It's that vulnerable piece of you of being hard or not being hard. Share that. But be okay with it in the moment. Learn to share whole body sensual pleasure. Listen, I coach men, women, and couples because there are a lot of reasons I've discovered that people cannot have penetrative sex, or that they have issues in the bedroom or trauma. Seriously, I say it all the time. People feel a lot of pressure and trauma in the bedroom, even if they're just worried about farting. It's the truth. And I coach couples like teams, like sports teams, and it works. And think of it like a football team. You think you should know how to play football because you watch so much football, but you don't actually learn how to play, how to throw the ball back and forth and catch it, and then run and throw and catch all at the same time, until you're actually part of a team. And think about athletes when they actually make the team too. It's human nature to be defensive and competitive. It's not just athletes. And it's not just because, your childhood or the way you were in past relationships. It's human nature to be defensive. It's human nature to protect ourselves, and to your fault, my fault, be competitive in that way. But they have a practice. They know how to play together, and they have a coach. Having a coach in your corner allows you to take more risks. That's how you get through the power struggle and get to the love you man phase. I'm telling you, my clients will literally call me and go, help. Something just happened. What do I do? Remind me what to do. Or we're fighting. How do we stop this fight? Having a coach in your corner, because that's what great athletes do. And that coach literally goes, wrap it up, come back to sharing sensual pleasure, and get back in the game. Because when you're committed to your team, you show up for each other. You're in it together. There's a lot to do, a whole body to explore. That's how you get, like I said, through the power struggle and to the love you man phase. Because those athletes, even when they have a foul, even that guy, like I say, Joe, who dropped the ball during the Super Bowl, he trusts that he's still part of the team, because fouls happen to even the best players. Am I right? Remember, it's not the bat that scores, it's the player, and that's you. And if you want to score more, if you want to win, if you want to know how, you're going to learn to share sensual pleasure. Is that making sense? I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a note in the comments. Comments are my love language. Let me know if this makes sense to you, if it makes sense to share sensual pleasure. And if you want more, hit like, subscribe, share this with somebody who could use a little more love and use some moves. It's okay to share. It just means that you care. This voice needs to be out there. We need this. And if you want to know more about the intimacy game plan, and that is where I help you be your best and you be your best, so that you can play together and build a life that you love, learn how to initiate, how to play, how to talk about us, so that you can get back into touching and squeezing and kissing and complimenting. I even teach you how to do all of those. And I make it fun. And you've got a coach in your corner, the accountability. I love this program. Instead of clients having to come to my office and show up for me, I show up for you the way that it should be when you need me the way that it should be. No more waiting till next Tuesday when we go talk to our coach or our therapist. You've got me in your corner. It's awesome. And when you know what you're doing, when you know how to connect, it's a lot more fun. And what the world needs right now is people who feel secure and intimate connection, who know how to love and be loved because they feel like lovers together. That's why you got in the relationship in the first place. And if you're not in the relationship in the first place, like Raj, my gorgeous doctor, or even Robo Dick, so if you want to know more, you'll find a link in the description that goes straight to my calendar where you can book a time and talk to me. I would love to hear from you. And if my work, if this program would help you, then you can talk to me today and start today and be back in the game of love. Sound good? In the meantime, stay connected to yourself, each other, and me. And I'll see you soon. Okay?